podcast is online, that at WRQK.com. We got a lot to get into this morning, including apparently, dude, this Hawk Tuah girl, like, it won't go away. She officially, I guess, did now sign with a talent agency. I'm not surprised. With as many streaming services there are out there, everybody's like searching for, more content and what can they put on the air. If you tell me she ends up in an episode of Tires with Shane Gillis on Netflix, are you really going to be shocked by that? Probably not, right? But yeah, look, Shane got the Hawk Tuah girl after she did the podcast circuit, right? And you can kind of see stuff like that coming down the road. But she's talking about her future plans. Some people are turning on her because apparently she's not a fan of the former president. So everybody who was wrapping their arms around her a couple of days ago now has to hate her because she doesn't like your favorite politician. We'll get into all the madness of the woman that spits on that thing. We will get to that coming up. I still think that's the funnier of the two parts of that phrase, but whatever. And we'll get there coming up at 9 a.m. Also, is TikTok responsible for slumping ticket sales at the box office? I think it plays a part. I don't think it's all of it. Michael Rooker, of all people, is coming out and saying, you guys, including me, I would assume, have forgotten
she's
how
looking
to
my garden and
consume
she's
real
shocked
cinema.
because she
We
said
don't have the
she's
attention
look she
span.
saw
He
the
starts
oh
talking
my
about
goodness,
how
what is
everything
this?
is cut
What?
today. Everything's
On the
fast
road.
today. And I think he's making a little too much out of this, and we'll
Just
get
look
there
like a
coming up at 8
dog.
o'clock. But that's what
Probably
everybody
is.
said about MTV, was the way MTV was edited and that cut, and it was going to lead to, people having a, less of an attention span. And it kind of do that, right? It did kind of do that. I don't think you get to TikTok without MTV editing that way back in the day. But there were plenty of criticisms and op-eds written back in the day about it. I used to read them all the time and roll my eyes at it. Now today I'm like, they were probably right about this, some of that, right? But is TikTok responsible for you not going to the movie theater? Michael Rooker thinks so, and he's using a Kevin Costner movie to kind of
who was asking
make
about
his
your-
point.
Oh, that is that are the like in
It
the
seems
post
like
office.
so many people are ready for recreational.
First woman.
However, here locally, North
Is that
Canton
your
says
plot on
not
the
so.
others?
North
Because she said it's
Canton does
beautiful and
not
she saw
want
said, oh, you
marijuana
can.
businesses inside
You want to
the
see
city
what is the
limits.
really
I
said it?
think
She gets shot.
we talked
This is
about this
beautiful.
briefly in the past. We will get back into it today around the 7 o'clock hour.
Hello,
because
UK.
to me, it's like an adult video store. It's like a sex toy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Everybody thinks you should have.
I'm sorry. I'm
Bless you
sorry.
That's
again.
fine. What you do in your bedroom is fine.
I opened it.
But I don't want it at the end of my street. I don't want those things
Come
being
out,
my
not
businesses
stuck
where
in
I
and
live.
said here.
And I'll be honest with you.
What?
I am a
The
marijuana
leaves on
proponent.
that tree, they
I
were
argued
orange.
for legalization long before it was like the
Stay.
popular opinion.
Oh
that
no,
we had.
it's starting.
I don't want a dispensary to be
Too soon. Too soon for
I really don't.
color change.
Yeah.
Inside the city limits,
It's
yeah.
too
Do
early.
I want one at the end of my street? No, I don't. And so I can understand this a little bit. We'll tell you what the snags are for North Canton. We will get there. We'll do that coming up at 7 o'clock. Also, Sean Strickland,
Yes, man.
who is this
forgot
guy,
my-
who is in the Friday audio reel. Some of you will know. He is back making headlines again. This is Sean Strickland here.
We need to put women back in the kitchen.
That's Sean Strickland. He has said plenty of wild and outlandish things in his career, one of which he was proven right on yesterday. We'll get into that and we'll do it next year on the Stansbury Show. Looking to hang out, day drink a little, maybe play a little golf with us? You can do that. The Stansbury Cup on the 24th. We'll be at Raintree Golf and Event Center this year. You will be too. Get your team signed up today. That at WRQK.com. If you only got a twosome, that's fine. We can get you guys paired up. But we'll do breakfast that day, barbecue lunch. It'll be fun. Got some prizing set aside for long drive, closest to the pin, longest putt. You know how golf outings work. We'll see you guys on the 24th. Get signed up today. That at WRQK.com, inside the Stansbury Show section there. All right, we'll have to push this Sean Strickland story off just a little bit as I am coming to this just about now. Doing one of radio program director's least favorite things. This is called Rip and Read, but I'm pulling from CantonRep.com now, where a Stark County woman is in fact missing. Her boyfriend also ran away from investigators. This story had been updated about 5:40 this morning, so about just under an hour ago. But investigators are now looking for a 24-year-old woman who did not show up for work on Monday. Her live-in boyfriend later ran away from Stark County Sheriff deputies after they stopped him as he was driving her car. Rachel Sheridan was last seen or heard from on Saturday, apparently. Her mother had told the cops, And his office, meaning the sheriff's office, later said the deputies, after not finding her at home or in the area, then added her name and information to a national database of missing people. They're looking for her and her boyfriend, Sean Go, who is apparently 26. According to criminal complaints filed in May, a Stark deputy alleged that Go on May 3rd had committed the misdemeanor of domestic violence against Sheridan. And the complaint says Sean Go did knowingly make the mother of his unborn child, Rachel Sheridan, believe he was going to cause her serious physical harm by saying, quote, "I'm going to F you up," or it says expletive, but sorry, I assume that's what he had said there. They also allege that Go, who previously has spent time in state prison for burglary and drug charges, committed criminal damaging by cutting holes in the tires of her vehicle so she could not drive it.
So is that Lily
During an initial
owns that,
search,
or-
they spotted Go driving
Friends.
Sheridan's maroon Jeep Liberty. That on north, he was headed north on Guilford,
Because the problem
which
is
does
there's
intersect
nothing
with Orchard, and I
parking
believe
lot.
that's kind of where
Yeah.
she's from. They
It's
pulled
not
him
a very
over
good
at the north end of
place for a
Guilford,
business either.
It's not really.
Just-
Yeah,
and they
it's
stopped
not
the
good for
vehicle, and then
business.
apparently he ran
If it were
away.
like beside the coffee shop,
They called in
over there on
K-9 units from Massillon.
the main
They
road,
were unable to
it'd be
find him at that
different.
time.
because that gets a little more
According to
traffic.
the rep, they spent the next
People
couple
just
of
kind of drive
hours
by it there.
looking through her and his basements,
Sweetheart,
apparently
can you
looking
please
for
mute
clues,
it? I'm gonna
and they
over here.
learned that Go had been spotted vehicles were parked outside the building, and obviously people stopping to look and see what's going on there, right? Now, her boyfriend is now wanted on warrants accusing him of committing the misdemeanor of domestic violence and criminal damaging, that alleged by Miss Sheridan in May, as well as felonies of grand theft of a firearm and burglary and the misdemeanor of criminal damaging. North Canton police last month filed criminal complaints against him, alleging that he burglarized an apartment in North Canton, that on April 2nd, and stole a 9mm Glock gun and damaged the front entry door. Also, now she may be pregnant, as you may have heard while I was reading some of this to you earlier, the unborn child. But apparently a public May 15th Facebook post where she was seeking to give away a cat she had found. In that post, she mentions that she was pregnant, looking at downsizing, that kind of stuff. The sheriff's deputies have impounded the Jeep Liberty and will continue to search that vehicle, obviously, for more evidence. They're asking anybody with any information whatsoever that can help them find Sheridan and Go to call the deputy's office, that at 330-430-3800. Again, 330-430-3800. Or you could also, they say, contact deputies through the Stark County Sheriff's mobile app. He warned, though, that Go could be armed. And my guess would be that, yes, if you believe he had burglarized another apartment and stole a Glock handgun, if he knows he's on the run, my guess is, yes, he probably has that gun with him and looking to use that as a way to help him get away. Guardians get another win yesterday, 7-6 over the White Sox, that at home. They'll play again tonight around 6:40. You know, a sport that has no shortage of people with strong opinion is the UFC. Plenty of fighting. And I've said this, it's because part of the reason is because some of these fighters come from all over the world. And so not everybody has like a Western viewpoint. Nice and all that, right? Some of these guys are, growing up in like war-torn areas, and they
just
look
the
at some of
proof
us
of
as
point
soft and
about
you've had
the
it
time
too
it
good for
takes
too
to get to
long,
work.
so you're creating
I got the
problems out of
GPS
thin air
set,
for yourself. Right? There's a
35
lot of that.
minutes.
Now, Sean Strickland is not from another
Not
place. He was
45, not an hour, 35.
we might have to do something about that. And Sean has said plenty of like, did you just hear that? Type stuff. Like this. Once upon a time, Sean Strickland had said this.
America, you guys, we're all a bunch of degenerate. You know, like I was talking to one guy. Like I was joking about, you know, growing up, my dad knocks these off the table, my mom trying to bang somebody, you know.
Jesus.
And this foreigner comes up to me, he's a UFC guy. He's like, Sean, why would you disrespect yourself like that? I'm like, dude, do you know Americans? We are so royally we have so much degeneracy in our, like, who we are. I can't even pretend not to be a white trash motherfucker. I look in the mirror and I wear a suit, and I just think all the bad I've done, all the bad I've seen. I'm like, what are you doing, you loser?
Well, John Gotti did plenty of bad things in a suit. You know, so like,
So forwarding to these dirty Brazilians.
buddy. Like, I don't know if we had to say that.
It was nice, man. They have like a good community. They barbecue, they hang out. You know, it was like, it was some good wholesome and Americans. We need to
Hello,
go back
man.
to like
Musta
taking
na?
women out of the workforce.
of Sean Strickland saying wild stuff. It's just kind of who he is. And that audio is not necessarily new. You and I have covered that audio on a previous program. We also covered the story when Sean Strickland once upon a time went on to social media and said this, quote, "I don't think there's one effing Navy SEAL who could survive a week training with me. I'm kind of sick of seeing it because you guys think you're bad. Come with me for a week. I'll show you what's up. I will." Another word there. And I remember talking about that when he said, and I was like, well, I don't know for sure. I said, I've known a couple of guys that have gone through the Navy SEAL training. And what I said is, you don't want to start a fight with one of those guys in a bar. Like, let me just tell you, dude, you're going to have your hands full with that. But Sean Strickland's not some guy at Bud's Corner. You know what I mean? Sean Strickland is a UFC trained in fighting. And when you've trained somebody, especially cage fighting, because like you learn multiple styles there. And so you learn defense on multiple styles. And so of course, when he said that, what happened? More than a few Navy SEALs went online and was talking about, you don't know, and the training we got to go through. And dude, plenty of people flush out of that Navy SEAL training. So I don't think it's necessarily a cakewalk. I think it's going to be pretty hard. I'm like you. I haven't gone through it. I've watched documentaries on it, and I have known people who have done it and succeeded. I've also read a few books, right, and all that kind of stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean I know what it's like, but I would know that it's not right. And so and plenty of SEALs were like, dude, don't talk trash here, man. We're on a different level. And Sean was just trying to make the point of, no, dude, I think it's you guys who don't understand that we're on a different level, right? So you fast forward now, and apparently he has now sparred with a Navy SEAL. He says here, quote, "So it finally happened, guys. I sparred a Navy SEAL. I got to know him after the blood, and he's such a great guy. Everything I hate about Special Forces guys, he's not. You're one of the real ones. Damn it, man, that wasn't meant for you." Talking about the ass beating he just gave him. Mitch Aguilar was the Navy SEAL in which he sparred. Now he says, look, I knew what Sean was saying when he said it. I understood what he was saying. A lot of people misunderstood him. This is what he says, quote, "First off, I appreciate everybody's support. Secondly, I think Sean Strickland's original remarks were not received or interpreted in the way he intended it to be. Ironically, I was one of the few people that knew what he meant. I also agreed with him. There was no hostility between us, and I knew I was getting in with a pro fighter. I was aware that there are levels to things, and he is at the highest level and one of the best in the world. I knew it wasn't exactly going to be fun for me, but I figured it would at least be entertaining for other people. Sean is a patriot and has a ton of respect for service members." He does. Because right here, everything I hate about Special Forces guys, he's not. So like, I don't know if he's got a lot of love for him. He might like the ones he's met maybe, but it seems, or maybe that's what he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't like the ones he's met, and, you know, in general, maybe he's a little bit of a fan. But yeah, I guess they sparred for like 25 minutes or whatever. Well, that's another thing, too. Again, like, are you currently, I mean, this guy had been a Navy SEAL. The conditioning, I'm sure, like, once you go through that and you're not doing it anymore, you're saying to yourself, well, I'm maybe not necessarily staying up and up on that. But I'm not surprised that in a cage, sparring, a UFC guy, especially at Sean Strickland's level, he's a pretty good fighter. Right? Everybody loses fights in that business. Welcome to it.
Oh my
But
God,
Sean Strickland's pretty good. I'm not surprised
no.
that inside an octagon, sparring for 25 minutes, that a Navy SEAL found himself going, I don't know, man, these UFC guys, man, I think they got this fighting thing a little figured out. The microphone talkback button on iHeartRadio is at your disposal for you to yell at me. Also text in at 330-450-7625. I guess if you agree to.
Hurricane's beautiful.
It seems as if the Caitlin Clark effect is still in full swing in the WNBA, as again the Las Vegas Aces had to move their game to the T-Mobile Arena to fit the crowd in. I don't know if it was sold out, but the videos looked like it was pretty well attended. The Indiana Fever lose to the Las Vegas Aces as Kelsey Plum went off. I believe it was 34 points for the Aces. She kind of went off last night. Of course, there are plenty of people on social media lining up to celebrate the fact that Caitlin Clark loses a game. I don't quite understand that, but okay. But she is selling the tickets. There's no denying that. Yesterday, you and I got the news before the show was over that the Cavaliers have signed Donovan Mitchell. I believe it was a 3-year deal, $150.5 million maximum contract extension. Now, again, it's on the shorter end, so people are already starting to point out, we're going to be here in a couple of more years.
Where are you from?
It's like, yeah, but aren't we going to be here every couple of years with every athlete now? If any athlete, I would imagine most athletes, their best case scenario is to get back to the negotiating table as fast as humanly possible, right? That's how most air talent in the radio business approaches it. Like, we're normally offered a couple of different options when we go to re-sign deals. We can do a 3-year at this, we can do a 2-year at this, we can do a, and normally what we will choose to do is, all right, give me the shorter end of the deal, and I want to renegotiate faster, right? Like, that's normal, and so I'm not surprised that's what athletes are looking for, right? Apparently, the deal is structured to give all parties what they really want. According to Woj, this deal gives the Cavs the stability of their franchise player under contract beyond next season. But for Mitchell, the player, it's now on the, quote, fast path to the 10-year service criteria, allowing him to pursue a 5-year, $380 million plus extension, that in 2027. A lot of people are already starting to tell you how he's never going to sign that one. Some of those people are the same people who told you he would never sign this extension, this
they're
day, and
starting now
remain
to
a
work
Cleveland
the loan.
Cavalier. So a lot now on, like, what do you do with DG, Darius Garland? What do you do there? They seem to get along as far as, like, liking one another go, but people seem to think like they can't get together on the court, that there's not enough of a balance off of one another there.
I think they're supposed to start in the
I heard Windhorst say yesterday that he feels like the market for the player that the Cavs can move right now is Jared Allen.
Traffic is
right?
ridiculous.
And that maybe that's the move you make, and you go and get some pieces, come back for there. You're probably going to need another perimeter guy. You're going to need some other things there. What a lot of people feel like, and I wouldn't know the answer to this, but I like the way this sounds, is that, well, there's a reason why you brought in the new head coach, Kenny Atkinson. It wasn't just about making sure Donovan wants to stay. It's also about making sure that you get the most out of the rest of your players, right? And
Like,
some people
you
felt
came
like
out
that's
from
where
the
JB's
airport and
ceiling
was
was.
that you will ride
Like
in
that
the
he
back,
couldn't get
you
you
know.
guys. He had
my
plateaued,
goodness.
essentially. So we'll see what happens there with the head coaching search. But it was nice to see Donovan
That you will
remain
ride
a
in the
Cleveland Cavalier. He's a fun watch. He's one of the top players in the league. I don't think he's top 5, but he's probably top 20. Maybe even slides in the top 15. There are people who would be a better
you will
authority
fall asleep
on
1
that
hour
than
then
I
thinking
would
that you're
be.
already
But
that
you
you're
know, he's a pretty
already in
damn
your
good
destination.
player, and you're not going to be any good without him. So good to see an extension get done.
We're still at the airport.
Which does bring us to
We're
this
still
point.
at the airport, or we're still at the
A lot of
same
people have made a
street?
lot about this, myself included, over the years, about markets and where guys want to be
You
and where they
remember
want to
when
play,
we
and he'll never
go
do this,
to-
and this team can't retain free
From
agents, or they
where?
can't
We
get a
did.
free agent
From
to come
Manila.
there because it's too cold, or this
Yeah,
or that.
I mean,
You hear about this
we
kind of
went
stuff
to
all of the time.
Manila, right?
So
And
let's look at the 3
when
sports
we back to
that Cleveland has,
Pampanga.
right? So we just
stopped-
covered Donovan, so you're good there for a
stopped
few
at that
years.
Jollibee to eat.
Oh, you got Miles Garrett, who's
walked
all
down
in
there,
on being
and
a
then we
Cleveland Brown, who's
caught a
all in,
taxi
by the
to,
way, is a Cavs investor, minority owner with
Mall
that
of Asia.
team, and has
How
shown
much did
you
pay
wants
for
to
the
be
for the hotel
a
that we
Cleveland
did in
Brown,
Makati?
wants to be dominant here, wants to win a Super Bowl with the
It was
Cleveland
like
Browns.
$20.
Okay, well then you go
$20. And did
up
you see
the
already
street a
what
little
is
bit,
what
and now you
look
get to
like?
Progressive Field, where the
Better
guards
than
have
a
Jose
lot of
Rivera.
places around here.
Yeah, I told you it's $20.
And again, conventional wisdom would have told you
It's looking.
that, like Frankie Lindor, when that money comes a knocking on the door for Jose, and it was, that he's going to look at you and be like, well, sorry, gotta go. Gotta get out of here. Don't want to be here. Don't like this franchise. Don't like the town. Don't want to live in a small town. Give me to a big city.
And,
I want the bright lights. I want all this stuff. But that's not what Jose chose. He had more than a couple of opportunities and would have had plenty had he went out into the media and said, I'm looking around. Every team out there would have been like, I think we should maybe call Jose and see what happened in here, right? Like, for sure.
like 2 days.
That
3
guy
days in
likes
Manila
the area
before
so
we went
much that when his wife was
to
getting ready to
Busan.
give birth, they came back to loves it. So
Or we
Donovan,
will go,
Jose,
like 2
I'm not the
days in
first person to point
Manila.
this out. Plenty of people were talking about this yesterday, and they're right.
Hotels that near
That flies in the face of
airport,
everything we're told about today's
but it's
athlete.
not. But
It
it's
flies in the face
cheapest. I
about
don't
plenty
know.
of things I
I don't know
believe
now.
about today's athlete.
And like before,
I think part of it is, and I don't know if this would be all of it, but some. It's always been true in this country that athletes were making way
figure it
more
out.
money than the average person. That we know is true.
Yeah.
Today, it's like 10 generations worth of money now. I mean, you heard this deal. He's edging for down the road for a 5-year, $380 million plus extension in 2027. That's after he's already played a good stretch in the NBA already. Legs don't get stronger as they go on, right? Like, that's not how that works. $380 million at some point. I mean, dude, this deal right now is worth $150. We were talking about this with CJ McCollum from the area. He's a nice player. Better than average, maybe even. They made him a $100 million man in the NBA. That's I mean, honestly, it's a little insane.
Server.
But welcome to how athletes get paid. So I think once you start putting that many zeros for a dude coming off the bench or the fifth guy or whatever the hell, once you start doing that, I think guys are looking around going, Cleveland? Fine. As long as they feel, because they're going to get the bread no matter where they go. They're going to get, I think today's athlete, more and more of them are going to be like, nah, dude, it's fine. Now, you start talking Oklahoma City, although bringing them up is kind of crazy because they have a good young squad, dude, and they're playing pretty good and have been recently. Obviously, the NBA not playing right now, but you take the point. But, like, so I think there are case by case, but let's not pretend Cleveland's some whole, like, terrible city. Like, it isn't. Is it Los Angeles? No. But I think if Donovan really kind of did want to be a Knick for a while, but, like, if you've lived in New York, I think you could sell yourself on, like, well, all right, there are benefits there, but, dude, Cleveland gives me this, and I don't have to deal with this, and I don't have to deal with that. But all anybody ever talks about is how small market, medium market teams can never keep their stars because these guys all want to go places. And again, Donovan Mitchell, Myles Garrett, Jose Ramirez just kind of flying in the face of all of that. I have posted the sign-up sheet for the Stansbury Cup, our golf outing on the 24th for you. That at the show's Facebook page, The Stansbury Show. Swing by there, get yourself signed up. We'll do breakfast that day, lunch, little barbecue for you as well. Be out there on the 24th. Don't worry if you're not a good golfer. I get that question all the time. Dude, I kind of suck. I want to come, I want to play, I want to hang out, but I suck at it. Dude, everybody sucks at golf. That's the point of it. Like, I saw this with the former president the other day because they were talking handicaps in the debate the other night, apparently. And somebody found a video of the former president, Donald Trump there, shanking a shot and said, oh, 6 handicap, huh? Or whatever it was. And it's like, guys, there's an 8-minute video compilation online of Tiger Woods shanking shots in tournaments, including tournaments he won. Where like he was just shanking balls off into the woods. The best players in the world.
Green or red.
Like that's kind of how it works. It's like seeing one shot and going,
like
handicap line. It's like we're getting a little crazy.
Like,
so I have been a marijuana proponent for a long time. I have argued for legalization
What'd you call
for
me?
a long time. No, I've been honest with you about the fact that there will be downsides. Anybody who's telling you you're not going to deal with more marijuana smoke in places you don't want it is lying. Every place that's legalized has seen an uptick in that. My brother, who's a Las Vegas resident, will tell you they don't even really like the Strip anymore because they kind of feel like marijuana almost ruined it. Like it kind of did. Or it's like, yeah, I used to deal with it a little bit. Now it's like what you deal with down there. Now, you throw that in, that's like, us, driving to Cleveland to do stuff too, because he's like, dude, I've lived here forever. I'm not going all the way up there just to do that. Right? You know what I mean? So there's some of that too. But plenty of people who have visited there have come back and be like, dude, you smell it everywhere. It's going to be a thing. Well, no, because the law says, right, the law says you have to do 55 on your way into work this morning. You didn't, though, did you? Right? And so things like that are going to happen. Now, we're waiting on when recreational sales were going to begin. You ask anybody, even the people surrounding the issue, they'll all tell you, a matter of days. But the issue is that that's what we've been told for months on end. It's a matter of days. Every article I read just on Monday said, it's a matter of days. I think it's crazy to not have had this buttoned up and be ready to go for sales before this weekend. More and more people moving off of alcohol into the marijuana usage. We've seen some of that. Normally, the weekends with the holidays attached to them is when people kind of let their hair down, have a little fun, relax a little. This is normally where we remind you, the TV and radio business, don't drink and drive, make sure we're taking Ubers, Lyfts, and things like that, because we know what's happening out there. People know what's happening out there. I bring it up because apparently you're not going to be able to buy recreational marijuana everywhere here in Stark County. Some cities, and I believe it's 61 municipalities actually, have said, no, we're not doing dispensary sales in our town. I'm hearing North Canton is one of them, pulling from cantonrep.com. The city council voted 4-3 on Monday to ban marijuana dispensaries in the community. Mayor Stephen Wilder is expected to sign that legislation that will take effect in 30 days. And again, North Canton joins at least, according to the Canton Rep, 61 other Ohio municipalities that have approved moratorium. Things like that. The business is open. That apparently as of June 13th. The law, I guess it's the law school at Ohio State University, has been tracking the issue statewide as more and more communities are deciding on whether or not to permit such businesses after Ohio voters, again, approved recreational marijuana that last fall. We do have the 4 council members who voted to ban marijuana dispensaries. Again, this is at cantonrep.com, so I don't feel as if I'm telling you anything that you can't find for yourself. Matthew Scroya, Melissa Owens, Jamie McCleister, who I know personally, and Stephanie Warren, Christina Wayrick, and Dave Matheny and John Orr voted against the ban. So the first 4 there, Matthew Scroya, Melissa Owens, Jamie McCleister, and Stephanie Warren, had voted. Or asked why people who need cannabis for medical purposes have to leave the city to buy it. I think we're making a big mistake, he said. So that was somebody who's saying they're making a big mistake. Not moving forward with the dispensaries in North Canton. I get it. I really do. As a marijuana proponent, like I've said, it's an intrusive product just as far as usage goes. We'll get to the buying here in a second. But I've said for people who are worried about recreational legalization, I get it. I just talked about how we're all going to be hanging out in the backyard partying over the weekend, right? 4th of July, woo! Although you're hearing way less about that these days. And it really feels like people want to celebrate their country maybe less than ever. And I guess maybe when you got leaders freezing on stage and not blinking for 4 minutes at a time, I guess maybe it might be time to be like, maybe the celebrated, maybe, just maybe, right? But it seems like that's kind of dying down. But plenty of you will do barbecues. Be at your fire pits in your backyard. Up and down my entire street, everybody's got a fire pit in the backyard, myself included. Every weekend, multiple people on my street have people over in the backyard party and there's drinks and stuff going on. And I've said about drinking, I don't know you're doing it. Unless you get so out of hand that it's like, all right, something happened. But if I go out in my backyard and I smoke a joint, my neighbor who lives right next door to me, when we would hear arguments like, drive through here, depending on where you go. Have you ever driven through a city and saw nothing but liquor stores and gun stores and thought to yourself,